In this challenge, you're going to finish off the graph. We've already created text labels and a background gradient. This is a complex challenge, so break it up into 3 stages. Step 1 is to add lines across the graph at the same time as drawing the text. Step 2 is to create an array of CG points using the days array and then draw a line using that array. Step 3 is to create a clipping path using the array of CG points and draw the gradient after setting the clipping path. The hard part about this challenge will be working out where to place lines and gaps and margins. I've already set up those variables for you though. Pause the video and see if you can complete the challenge. To do this challenge, open up Preview.Storyboard and GraphView together. We already have a gradient set up and the y-axis titles. Let's draw the horizontal bar lines first. We can draw the horizontal lines in the same method as drawing the text. We should just be able to draw each line where we draw the label. First of all, we'll set the stroke color and the line width. And I have a color set up in the asset catalog for this. And add the lines and stroke them. Drawing these lines has highlighted a problem with the text. It's not central horizontally, so let's fix that. We can find the size of the text using size with attributes. And then take away half the height of the text when positioning. And that's fixed up the labels. Now for the tricky bit of drawing the graph points. We'll create an array of CG points using the 7 days data. I'll create an array lazily to do this, as we don't want to be creating data in DrawRect. So each point will be moved across in the x direction for each column, and the y-axis is where we calculate the day's value. And now we have an array of 7 data points that we can draw. In DrawRect, we'll add lines between the points. That looks promising, except for looking at the data array, the lines are laid out too far to the left and more to the point is upside down. The data goes 4, 3, 0, 6, 5, 10, 8. Now that we have a correctly drawing stroke, I can just manipulate the context current transformation matrix so that the stroke draws in the right place. So let's start transforming the context. We'll first move it over to the right a little bit before doing the drawing. And that's moved it over. And we'll flip the context upside down. Remember, that's a scale y-1 and a translate of the negative height. So that's flipped the context, and now the data points are drawing in the right place, except for they need to be moved up by the bottom margin. And that looks perfect. Remember to save and restore the context state around the context transforms. Now we only wanted to have the gradient beneath the lines, so before drawing the lines we're going to make a clipping shape using the lines array. So here I've created a closed path of the lines going between the data, and then the path continues around there in that sort of shape. I'll move the drawing the gradient to after this clip. And that looks great, except for the lines seem to be a bit clipped. So I'll do a save and restore around the clip. The gradient could do with a little bit more contrast. I can change the locations to do this. And that'll set the gradient as complete, 75% of the way up instead of 100% of the way up. And that's the completed graph. We can check that the graph works for other data too by changing the days array at the top. To make this graph look a bit more modern, I've included a method to make this line curved. It's written by Simon Gladman, and you can find a link to Simon's blog in extensions.swift in the utility group. It's an interesting extension, creating a Bezier curve from an array of points. To use it, I'll comment out adding the lines to the context and stroking the path. And I'll replace that with the interpolation method. And you can see that the path is now curved. We also need to change the clipping path. You can see that there are a few syntax differences between CG Context and UI Bezier Path in close and add clip. UI Bezier Path is a more modern API. And now we have an attractive modern graph.